topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Philadelphia. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Wow, Thanksgiving is 2 days away. And it's amazing, for about the last 6 months, many of the letters that we get are from men wanting to know about testosterone, women wanting to know about hormones. And we were able to find one of the top practices in Philadelphia when it comes to testosterone or hormone replacement or weight loss. Let me introduce you to our great expert, Katie Harris. Good morning, Katie.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Steve.
I love the name of your practice, Philly Wellness Center. That's what you do.
And it's exactly what we do. Yeah, yeah. It was important for my own health.
Well, tell people, because, I can't believe there's so many people that ask us, what is a wellness center? And they want to know what your practice does. So tell us about Philly Wellness Center.
So we look at the whole patient, and a lot of, we're all accustomed to coming in and saying, I have this symptom, I have that symptom. And that's what traditional medicine does. It chases down symptoms. I mean, you don't go to the doctor and say, I feel great. They'd be like, okay, well, why are you here? But that's why you would come to a wellness center, is because you want to maintain feeling great. Or if you're not feeling great, you do have symptoms, we get to that core root and bring the body back to wellness. So it really doesn't matter what your symptoms are, what your diagnosis is. When you have an illness, it's an alteration in your biochemistry. And that's what we look at is where are you off and how do we get you back to center?
Tell people the different services you provide.
So we provide hormone therapy, which is, to me, that's foundational for health. If you want to be in wellness, your hormones need to be aligned and optimized. And we do weight loss because your weight needs to also be optimized. You don't want to have excessive visceral fat, which is fat around the organs, because that's very dangerous. It's very inflammatory. And that's what sets you off into fatty liver disease or cardiac issues, that visceral fat and that inflammatory process. Then we do, I have a pain clinic, so we do regenerative pain therapies. So, the traditional treatment for pain is basically steroids, NSAIDs, narcotics, right? Or surgery and that's it. But we offer a completely different approach to that. So we we'll offer peptides. We do shockwave therapy. We do injections. I don't do steroid injections, but we inject the peptides. We'll inject stem cells. We'll inject regenerative protein arrays to really maximize that healing process. And then we also look at pain differently. I see it as a dysregulated immune system. So it's an inflammatory cascade, just like visceral fat's inflammatory, right? So if you can treat that will deal with a significant amount of pain.
Katie, I just had a text come in because people have seen for the last 2 days us promoting your show. You do the skinny injection, right?
Yes.
I'm going to share something with you that is going to blow you away. I have had um, uh, kidney problems probably the last 6 years. And, people die from, from their kidneys shutting down. I got to tell you, I went on Ozempic about a year ago. One of the things the doctor told me, he said, we can't make your kidneys better. We just can hopefully keep them from getting worse. I just want to tell you, I've been on the Ozempic for over a year. I got my blood work back the other day, and my doctor was blown away. He's a nephrologist. He said, I have never seen anybody's blood work change the way yours has. And it's got to be because of the Ozempic. He said, I was like at stage 4. I'm at stage 3 now. And he could not believe how great my kidneys are functioning. Does that surprise you?
Not really. I mean, the body has a remarkable ability to regenerate, and it can regenerate everything, right? Like even the brain regenerates. And your nerves regenerate. So everything can regenerate. It's just you have to optimize the body. And what Ozempic and the skinny shot does is basically helps the body to you go into a fasting mode, right? So you don't feel like eating, which is huge. And it's not the lack of calories that's helping. Like you need calories. You need calories just to sit here and have this conversation. I need to burn calories to be here. So that the idea isn't to reduce the amount of calories. One, it's to get healthy calories and then to fast in between, because your body is either in fed mode or it's in fasting mode, just like you're either awake or you're asleep, right? And when you're asleep, the body's healing. When you're fasting, the body's repairing. And it's using fats. It's a fuel source, right? So if you're eating and you're always eating all day long, then you're constantly using glucose and you never go into repair mode. And that's what causes the problems. So if you're never in repair mode, then you can never regenerate, basically. So what Ozempic does is that fasting period or those times where you're not eating become extremely important. But you still want to get your calories in. So I do want to emphasize that.
Right. We've got so many questions already. One is, I want to get this one in. I keep hearing about bioidentical hormone replacement. Can you explain what that means?
So bioidentical hormone replacement is us replacing hormones. So as women go into menopause and men basically we call andropause, and they start to lose their optimal levels of hormones, what we do is replace them. And we replace them using bioidentical hormones, which means it's the same chemical structure as what your body makes. So your body wouldn't be able to tell the difference between what I give it and what it makes endogenously. Whereas a synthetic, the definition of a medication or a drug by the FDA is it has to block or alter a pathway, right? So in order to patent a hormone, it has to do something in the body that's not the same as the hormone. So it has to block or alter a pathway. And that's the only way that they can patent it, because it has to be a different molecule than what's available in nature, what occurs in nature. So it's just one of the reasons I don't like the synthetics, because I don't know what pathway they're blocking or altering, and
Right.
I don't know what the consequences of that are. When you watch these pharmaceutical type advertisements, that you always see happy people running around and living like their family, and then they give you this list of side effects that are just like so horrendous. I'm like, why would anybody take this medication?
Katie,
So
how often do you have to do this?
So for women, they do it every 3 months if you're doing pellet. So there's different versions, right? We don't do oral estrogen because there's a risk, especially as women age, of the first pass of the liver, there's a risk of clotting, right? So estrogen itself doesn't do it. It's the first pass in the liver, and it converts estrogen, and that there's a risk there of of clots. So if you're prone to clots, or you have a history or a family history, and you've been told that you can't do estrogen, what they mean is you can't do oral estrogen. Transdermal estrogen and estrogen pellets do not carry that risk because estrogen itself does not carry the risk. So you can do oral, which we don't recommend. You can do patches, you can do creams, and those can be bioidentical as well. And then there's pellets, and we place pellets under the skin, and they stay there. They stay in a fat pocket, and the body wraps capillaries around them, and then the body uses what it needs when it needs it. And those will last for about 3 months.
Here's a great question. Came in. My son plays football. He said, I just found your show. I'm interested to know, can teenagers have low testosterone? And what do you think about the supplemental products that say they're adding testosterone to your body? Are they really true?
So yes, absolutely. Yeah, young teenagers, and guys in their 20s and 30s, and more frequently, unfortunately, can have low testosterone. And that can be seen in just tiredness, extreme moodiness. We had one boy that was 18, was suicidal, and it turned out that his testosterone level was just extremely, extremely low. One of the things that we would do, especially in that age category, from like 18 to 40, my first go-to is not testosterone replacement unless it's like we've run through everything else that we can possibly do. So there's ways to stimulate testosterone production, and you have to look at kind of the root cause of what's going on in the first place. Is it a production problem? Is it a stimulation problem? Is it an environmental exposure problem? And work through those first. And then in that category, testosterone would be kind of the last thing that I would go for. One, because it reduces the endogenous production of testosterone. So if I give you testosterone, your body gets lazy and it's like, oh, well, look at it. Here's all this testosterone. I'm not going to make any more. So it stops production. And then you become dependent on the exogenous, pellets. But then if that adult male wants to have children, he doesn't have any testosterone that he's making, and it can take up to 2 years for it to come back. It's not gone forever, but it certainly can be a problem if you want to have children within the next 2 years.
Carl said, I just heard you mention the word pellets. A friend of mine is taking the pellets and says it has increased his energy. Can you explain how the pellet works?
Yeah, so the pellet, it's about the size of a grain of rice, basically, and that's exactly what it looks like. And what we do, like I said, we put it into a fat pad. So in the backside, in men, it's just above the butt and the love handle. And we'll place them there. And what happens is that the capillaries in the body just kind of wrap around them. And it senses that testosterone. So it absorbs testosterone into the bloodstream. So it's really dependent on, for men, they'll last about 6 months, but it's really dependent on cardiac output, basically. So if you're running marathons every weekend, you're going to go through that testosterone way faster than if you're a couch potato. But ultimately, testosterone increases your mood and metabolism, which then increases your mobility and your motivation to go out and do things.
So it really does help energy then.
It helps significantly with energy.
And how often does the female have to do it?
Females are every 3 months. Males are every 6 months.
I've had several people wanting to know, basically, this is their second or third one of them, it's your fourth show that they've seen. They're interested to know what supplements you feel like are necessary for someone to take on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's a great question, because there's a lot of supplements out there, and every influencer is touting, this is the best one, this is the best one, this is the best one. So it's very confusing, and you're like, oh my gosh. And I've had some people on 50, 60 different types of supplements, which is crazy, because what I don't want to do is micromanage the body, right? There's 37 trillion cells, and I don't want to spend my life trying to figure out what they want and what they need at any given time. But there's some core basics of what the body needs and what it can do with those vitamins and minerals. And one of your core is going to be your B vitamins. And I know that's like not very exciting, or, you know, it's not trendy to take a B vitamin, but and an adequate B vitamin. So your B1, 2, 3, 5, 7, they should have 100 milligrams. B6, 100 milligrams at least. And that's probably not even enough for some people. But these multivitamins that are out there, a one a day or something, they'll have like 5 milligrams of B1 or B2. I mean, B3, which is niacin, you can take up to a gram or more. B5 and B6, you can take 5 and 6 grams. Like which is way more than 5 milligrams, right? That's like 5,000 times the dose. So the RDA, the recommended daily allowance, is what you need in order not to die, right? So it's not what you need to thrive and survive, like to really thrive. So the B vitamins for sure. And then N-acetylcysteine, it's NAC, which is very powerful at helping to build glutathione, which is a master antioxidant in the body, as well as acetyl L-carnitine. So carnitine helps you to utilize fatty acids, which is extremely important, especially during your fasting state. You need to be able to get your fatty acids into the cell. Otherwise, you store them and they become fat. So those would be my top 3.
Jenny in Philadelphia, she wants to know, do you work with patients with osteoporosis?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a female, right? That's a female.
Yeah, for females, because I mean the two things that are going to kill you as you age are osteoporosis and sarcopenia, so loss of bone, loss of muscle, and they kind of go hand in hand. So as you're aging, you're losing muscle mass, you're losing bone mass, and the treatment is HRT, hormone replacement. So estrogen is the most powerful bone osteoclast. It builds bone, and it increases bone density better, like 1,000 times better than anything that's on the market. So HRT, and if there is bone loss already, I would start with like a mega K and some trace elements, because the bones are made up of 70 different minerals. It's not just calcium. You don't want to throw off the balance by taking so much calcium and then all the other minerals are out of proportion to what they need to be. You want to take a general mineral and get your HRT on board.
You know, stress causes so many effects on your health. How do you treat patients? What do you tell patients that are going through a lot of stress?
Yeah, stress is a tough one because cortisol is a tough hormone. When you have increased cortisol, it wreaks havoc on the body. And sometimes we put way too much pressure on ourselves, like too demanding. We're trying to keep up with our neighbors, and your spending is outpacing what you're earning, and that creates an incredible amount of stress. So sometimes it's a matter of making choices, and sometimes you're just in a situation that is stressful and there is no way out. So, I mean, there's a few things that you can take, like ashwagandha, rhodiola. Those are helpful, and they really reduce cortisol. Progesterone, I give a lot of progesterone for men and women, and that's a very calming. It regulates cortisol quite significantly, but it's a tough one to overcome.
So we're getting a lot of questions now about testosterone replacement therapy. Are there any concerns with prostate cancer when it comes to testosterone replacement therapy?
Right. So the prostate cancer, I mean, and all cancers in general are basically an alteration of your biochemistry, right? So just like estrogen doesn't cause breast cancer, testosterone doesn't cause prostate cancer. The hormones themselves have no way to mutate. It's not the hormone that's causing the problem. The issue is that estrogen modulates and is responsible for it's a project manager for breast tissue, and testosterone is the modulator or the project manager for the prostate, right? So what happens is that those cells turn over frequently. And if you have any DNA defects caused by environmental exposure or whatnot, they're going to replicate more in tissue that turns over more. So breast tissue turns over more. So if you have a DNA defect that's replicating, that's what's going to cause breast cancer. And it's usually from environmental factors or oxidative stress. It's not estrogen itself that's causing cancer.
This is from Mildred in Philadelphia. Also, she wants to know, first, great show. I'm so glad there's a show out like this now. I'm very interested in the testosterone replacement therapy, but what are the side effects?
So side effects for testosterone for both men and women, one, you might have a little bit of water retention because that's the muscles pulling water in. All of a sudden they're kind of activated. They're like, they're pulling water in. So there's that aspect. And that's usually these symptoms are usually when you first get it, right? Like if you go from like almost no testosterone to a lot of testosterone, then the body's like, woo, it's almost like puberty all over again. So you can have an outbreak of acne, especially on that first time when you get the testosterone. And the other thing is you will get hair growth, which is great if it's on your head. It's not so great if it's on your face, if you're a woman, or, your underarm, you might have to start shaving again, your arms and legs or whatever you shave, that becomes that can become a nuisance. The guys love it. They don't care. They like hair everywhere. So
Katie, how do they reach your office to make an appointment?
So they can book online at phillywellnesscenter.com, or they can call us directly at the phone number listed there, 215-709-9710. They can also text that phone number. So if they want to just text or send us a message through the web chat, that all comes to us directly.
I wish you could see all the texts we're getting. People love your show, Katie. I appreciate your knowledge. Hopefully you'll have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Katie will be back again with us next month. Katie, thank you so much. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thanks, you too.
That's Katie Harris, the Wellness Center, Philly Wellness Center. We're going to go to a short break. We'll be back in just a minute.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.